No, that was really interesting. Am I right in saying that was the first time that yourself and Hank have been on stage together for that kind of
Yes.
thing?
Yeah. Hank started the Water Revolution Foundation as an idea, and then he sent me a letter, and I said, oh, read it. And then we had lunch, and then we signed up, and that's the first place where he and I personally sit together on a board.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fun.
And I mean, pushing each other and challenging, those two sides of the new build market. I mean, I'm sure that leads to some interesting conversation.
Well, after all, we still are. I wouldn't call it fierce competitors, but we are real competitors. And I love to have his clients. I'm sure he likes to have some of my clients. So it's been initially, okay, a leap of faith from both sides to say, okay, let's do this together. Not today, but Water Revolution Foundation, where Fetcham and us really have been the initial driving force.
Yeah, and I guess coming together to collaborate on something with a shared vision like that, perhaps can start with the water revolution and expand from there once you find that common ground.
It's a very fine line because after all, each of us likes to win.
Yeah.
And we both have shipyards that need work and clients. But clearly, if it is that what it takes to push what we think is a promising technology, be ready to start the discussion.
And speaking of pushing a technology, I think Lürsen's big on methanol, and you have the resources, I think, to pioneer some of that research yourself with your fuel cell development. And those are the resources that I don't think many or any shipyard in the world can match. So do you see your role as putting forward that amount of financial commitment to find the technology that others can follow?
Well, first of all, there are other very profitable shipyards. But we have been fairly well treated by the markets over the years. And, we have ups and downs. And the advantage of a private shipyard is you can afford, if the shareholders wish so, to take the profits from the past and pour them into the future. And that's what we've done. I think others can do it. We are in the advantageous position that we have as had Navy and yachts. And we are two shareholders or two shareholding families, and all of them care about the future. So it was an easy decision to push for that step.
It's quite a turbulent market at the moment to be committing to something like as game changing as going to something like methanol. And we've seen in the last 24 months in particular what can happen in terms of that stability. How has Lürssen tried to insulate itself from that instability, or can you?
You can't insulate yourself from the instability. We all have, I think all shipyards have really suffered from COVID, which caused enormous delays for almost every project. And that cost a lot of money. Any delay in the shipyard is costing the shipyard a lot of money. The war certainly didn't help.
It's an understatement there.
The China lockdown doesn't help. I mean, you couldn't get chips for restaurants.
Of course. And well, on that subject, do you have one eye on Taiwan at the moment? I think that could be the next potential issue that we may have to deal with.
Let's hope that this is not coming for any time soon, because the result could be again a game changer in terms of supply chain. Look at the chip industry in Taiwan. It has a dominating role.
Something like 90%.
Yeah. And if that suddenly either be destroyed or be controlled by mainland China, I think that is a position that all of the West does not want to be in.
Hmm. There was, to change tack slightly, I really enjoyed the discussion inside about learning from crew. You know, I was a crew member myself. I was an officer on a few Fed ships. No Lürssens
Nobody
yet.
is perfect.
I know. Maybe the next one. And that was something I went through a warranty period, and it was a stressful time. But we had so much to give, you know, we had so much knowledge to give that sometimes you feel that doesn't make it to the yard, you know, and from everyone, from the deckhands all the way through. They know all the little tiny things, and I felt you could feel it just draining away from us. And I really liked what you said, that was an area that you think that Lürssen can grow and develop.
Look, we never thought about it. When we discussed Yeti, it's been all these really smart design engineers. But hey, we know that the hotel load is more than 50% of the fuel consumption. Hey, let's talk to the crew. They may have some suggestions. Nobody thought about it. It's clear an oversight because they've been, and this is similar to what you have said about your warranty period. We try to do lessons learned sessions 2-3 times throughout the build of a large yacht. Because when you wait till the project is over and the next one is in trouble. So we try to do it multiple times throughout the constructions. And it's the same thing with warranty. You know, by the time you guys come with your experience and you want to tell them, you really need to do that hinge, it's stupid because we had like 3 guys breaking their shoulders running against it.
Yeah.
These, you know, the poor shipper design engineers, they over the top in the next project, and then you come and tell them something that is viable and useful and good, but they don't have time. They have their mind set on something else.
They're thinking two builds ahead.
Yeah, and I guess it's the same thing everywhere.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a really fascinating discussion. There was another point I'd like to raise as well. The marine reserve that was set up a few years ago around Ascension Island, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're close to 500,000 square kilometers of ocean protected.
440,000 square kilometers, yes.
Which I thought was an amazing story when it came out, and that was a very large part due to the Lürssen Foundation. But what happens next? You know, as you know, I have a background in marine science, and it's something that I've always wanted to try and join together with yachting. But you have such a huge area there that is protected. How do you keep that going? How do you maintain that, police that, grow that kind of interaction?
It's a complicated task. This whole marine protected areas were hugely supported by the UK government's decision to go for that. And they take over as part of their normal patrolling, also the control. And there are other ways. Today you can have satellite surveillance and. And what it is in Ascension Island, the Ascension Islanders, only 750 people living there. They made a large chunk of the income by selling industrial fishing license. So it wasn't really the question of them giving up fishing for 750 people. That would be...
You can pivot that to something.
Yeah. It was a question of compensate them for the sale of industrial fishing license. You know, we talked about the Chinese earlier. What they do to the oceans is really bad.
You see them in the middle of the ocean, all the way, nothing anywhere, and you see 15 vessels on a radar with no AIS, and you know what they're doing. You know exactly what they're doing.
They do exactly what they shouldn't do, and I mean, they sit outside Galapagos Island, just literally on the border, and whenever a poor fish just wears off, you know, it's like, whoops, they catch it. That was important, that they stopped these vacuuming the industrial fishing of the Chinese and the other fleets, and that's what they have done. And the islanders, that's called sustainable fishing. 750 people.
Yeah,
in that time.
Absolutely.
That is not a problem.
Not selling the rights to the huge area around it.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Is there a next project that really excites you in terms of that conservation and protection of the ocean?
everything has its time, and this is a very personal thing for me, and it's my own personal money, not the company's money. It's my money. I work a lot on raising now money for smaller projects. They have a lot of small projects: Turkey, Greece, Sea of Cortez, all these areas where you can do. It's not these massive developments, because, as you said, it's complicated finding these spaces and protecting them.
It's more than a headline, right? It can't just be we've set it up.
So now it's continuous. Like last year, I challenged a shipyard colleague. Hey, you and I give 250,000 euros, and we challenge an audience for another 500,000. I can tell you that was a tough job, getting the 500,000, and it took 2 more dinners at which I get given speeches to convince other people, hey, we need more money. And this year we had a very successful fundraiser in Monaco, auctioning off a mini Moog, which I understand it's more English would know it more than I did. I never knew this car exists before. So for me, it's an ongoing process. And when there would be again something like Ascension Islands, they know they can count on me. And while this is not on the radar screen now, I basically pay every year middle 6 digits for other projects, smaller projects. These are projects sometimes 25,000 pounds. Getting a scientist to do a study, training a certain village to think sustainable. So they have these little leaflets where they list all the things they want to do. And this year in Monaco, I called a colleague and I said, hey, I know you're busy, but you have to pay 251,000 pounds. And to his credit, he agreed to it.
Yeah, and I'm sure we, as an industry, can act as that go-between, especially with the ocean and the resources to protect it. That's our role in the middle, and it's really encouraging to hear that it's not just the big projects, that there's all the little ones that make up the real change.
There's like a dozen or so smaller projects that we continue to support on a regular basis.
Peter, thank you so much.
Welcome.